We are going to start in a seated position for tonight's class. So I want us to get in the most comfortable position as possible. And then once we get in our seated position tonight, and we start with our centering here for our class this evening, I'll go over a little bit more of the topic of Muladhara Chakra, the things that kind of relates to for our body, our minds, and our spirit. So do prop yourself up. You're always welcome to sit up in a chair to take knees and hips out of the equation. Most importantly, we want our spinal column to be in its natural curves and a nice neutral spine. So when we do sit on the ground, and those of us like myself that have tightness in the lower half of our body and low back, it can be challenging. We can come into Sukhasana, our easy cross pose. Siddhasana, heel to heel, is the pose I'll be taking tonight. For one, it just allows my hips to open a little bit more. And Siddhasana pose, or a depth pose, starts to channel the energy towards Muladhara Chakra, or the pelvic floor area of the body, also correlated with the tailbone. So in Siddhasana, you draw one heel up towards the perineum floor, and then the opposite heel in front of it. But whatever other position works best for your body tonight, you're also welcome to take. So I'm going to introduce a mudra that we can hold here while we do our centering as well. I cannot remember the name of this mudra in Sanskrit, so if any of you know the name, you're welcome to share it with me. It's a mudra of survival. And what's interesting about this mudra is it's one that we naturally tend to take anytime that we're in situations or maybe we feel a little bit of anxiety and stress, and it has almost an immediate calming effect on the mind and body. And after I did more research on this mudra, years later, or I had known the mudra, but years later I had seen an article on response to stress and how we deal with that. And regardless of the yoga aspect, this doctor was talking about how we have a natural response to clench our thumbs. So that's actually what this yoga mudra talks about, the mudra of survival. So basically you just turn your thumbs in and you wrap your other four fingers around your thumbs. So if you've not done this mudra before and you do it and you're like, wait a second, I know I do this when I'm maybe feeling nervous or uncomfortable. This is a natural response in my body. It is. And that's one of the many amazing things about yoga and the science of yoga and all of this knowledge from thousands of years is that these yogis were really in tune to these natural responses that we had in our body organically and then had brought them into that system of knowledge. So survival mudra, taking the thumbs and then wrapping the four fingers around the thumbs. Now from here, you can choose to place the pinky edge of the hand down on the knees, almost like a little bit of a pounding fist, palms down or even palms up. Now remember though, if that doesn't feel comfortable for whatever reason, our other basic mudra to help ground us, our seal of wisdom and knowledge, is index finger to thumb. So once we're in this position, we're sitting up nice and tall, we'll relax our shoulders down our back, start to float our head on top of the shoulders, and we'll close our eyes to center. Remember, we want to try to make any adjustments here in the beginning so that we can find stillness in the end. Continue to feel the crown of the head lifting and lengthening upwards. Some lengthening up through the front of the spine, as well as the back of the spine. Just notice the gentle weight of the shoulders and elbows fall away from the ears, the gentle weight of our hands on our knees. And as we continue to sit up nice and tall, we also let the lower half of the body ground towards the earth. So Muladhara Chakra, related to our root center, is all about grounding, reconnecting to the earth, and establishing this feeling of stability and security on a physical, mental, and emotional level. And it is related to the lower half of the body, the pelvic floor, the tailbone, but also all the way down through the legs and into the soles of the feet, which is the part of our body that is contacting the earth more regularly and grounding us and literally giving us stability throughout our day. So really feel that energy move down towards the ground this evening. Feel that relaxation flow down through the body, through the feet. Take a moment to notice and check in with any areas that we might be healing or taking care of in our body. Remembering that we continue to modify and adjust our practice accordingly. Recognizing every day is a new day. Maintaining this posture, we'll now spread our awareness to the rhythm of the breath. And we'll begin by simply observing and watching the body breathe. Notice the subtle movement of the body. Maybe the difference in temperature between the inhale and exhale. Maybe even any subtle sounds that the breath naturally makes. We are trying to breathe as smoothly and evenly as possible in and out through the nose. So we'll continue with a few rounds of breathing here this evening. I'm going to give us a little way to help activate the lower bandhas, but just very gently as we continue to observe our breath this evening. So we'll start to feel and notice our Mula Bandha or root lock that is correlated to this area, and also Uddiyana Bandha, the lower abdominal lock. And when we contract these lower locks, on a physical level, it helps tone those pelvic floor muscles, and it also helps lift the energy up through the spine. So on our inhales, try to relax the abdominal muscles here. The belly will naturally expand. And then on our exhales, just very gently, see if you can squeeze and tighten and lift up through the pelvic floor muscles and those lower abdominal muscles. On the inhale, you'll relax the abdomen, allow it to expand, and allow the pelvic floor muscles to soften. On the exhale, it's just a gentle contraction. We don't need to overdo it. So when we try to start to engage Mula Bandha, it's almost like we're trying to stop the flow of urine. So you feel that little bit of clenching and a little bit of lifting. Uddiyana Bandha, about 2 fingers below the navel center, trying to pull that area of the body in and up. Inhale, relaxes. Exhale, again, just a very gentle contraction, squeezing and toning those muscles of the pelvic floor and the lower abdominal muscles. Let's all move through one more cycle of a complete breath. This next breath, we can elongate and try to make a little bit bigger. So when we get to our next inhale, really let that belly expand, fill yourself up, let the rib cage expand, and breathing that fresh air, prana, and energy all the way to the top. And this next exhale will contract. And really try to empty every last drop out. So clear it out, empty it out. Use those abdominal pelvic floor muscles to engage, lift, and help push the air out. Next inhale, relax the belly. Start to come back to the physical body. Release any control over the breath and the bandhas. And we'll just softly start to flutter our eyelids open here for a moment. So we're bringing our awareness back to our surroundings and space. We can release the mudra in the hands here. Give your hands a nice little stretch. And those of us sitting cross-legged, I'm going to have us switch which foot is in front for a moment. Again, prop yourself up nice and tall on those sit bones. So let's just add a little bit more gentle movement to start to warm the body tonight. Extend the arms up from the side, palms up. Another big breath in, this time to reach the arms all the way up to the ceiling. Turn those palms out. Exhale, let the fingertips ground you back down to the floor. Inhale, right arm only lifts up, Upavishta Trikonasana. Lean it a little bit over to your left. Keep the sit bones rooted. Inhale, pulls us up. Exhale, switch to your other side, seated triangle pose. Inhale, pulls us up. One more time to each side. Remember that we can turn our gaze down, forward or up to change the stretch for the neck. Our next inhale, after we finish our right side, we'll bring both arms back up towards the ceiling. Palms touch, exhale to center. Interweave all 10 fingers here, nice strong grip in those hands. On the exhale, press your palms forward. Purposely round the low belly in, giving your upper back a nice stretch. The chin can drop towards the chest. On the inhale, tip the pelvis forward, lift and lengthen, float the arm bones up. Let's do this one more time. Exhale, really draw that belly in, tuck, scoop, and round. Really nice big stretch all the way up the back. And then the inhale floats us up, lengthening through the spine. Open the hands up. On the exhale, rotate and twist to your right. Let the shoulders, head, neck, and eyes follow. Peek behind you. Inhale, pulls us up. Exhale, rotate and twist to your left. Give it a nice little stretch back there, especially with the eyes. Inhale, bring it up. And again, one more just flowing twist, one more time each side. Make sure we get our spinal movements in for our day. Inhale, reach it up. And one more time, bring everything out to the left. We'll meet on that inhale, floating those arms up to center. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So we'll stretch our legs forward now in Dandasana and give those legs a quick break. So both legs are going to extend straight forward. Dandasana or staff pose is a challenging pose. Takes a lot of core effort here just to get up nice and tall. So again, I'm propped up a few inches and I'm going to start with my knees bent slightly so that I'm not getting pulled out of alignment. Tight hamstrings and low back when you straighten the legs will thrust your spine out of alignment. So bend your knees or sit up a little bit taller. And we'll actually do some foot articulation today as we do work with the lower half of the body and this lower energy through Muladhara chakra. So this is called articulation of the feet. We're going to try to move through the feet joints. I'll scooch myself back so you can see a little bit. So first things first, whether your knees are perfectly straight or a little bit bent, you can rest your hands beside your hips. And I want you to flex your feet. So you're pulling your toes back towards your shin bones. And I want you to look at your toes and I want you to try to line up all 10 toes. So actively pull your pinky toes in as well. So you can lengthen from the inner growing down through those inner heels and then contract from those outer heels all the way up into those hips. Low belly still in, upper body nice and tall. Now on our exhale, you're going to curl your toes up first and then point them forward. And then on the inhale, open the toes and reflex the feet. Exhale, you're trying to curl your toes and then point the feet forward. If you get any cramping, just back off a little bit. Then spread the toes and pull them back as far as you can. One more time. Exhale, curl up those toes, stretch them forward. And inhale, pull, pull, pull. Really stretch out the soles of the feet. Get your toes as wide as you can. And then exhale, let it go. Give your legs a little wiggle. Take flat hands or fists, and we're going to give ourselves a little slapping, punching massage all the way down those legs. So this is often used in different body arts and massage to help stimulate the blood flow all the way down the legs and into the feet. So if you do experience any circulation issues, this can be a nice practice to do, especially first thing in the morning. And then we'll let it go and walk your feet in, and we'll move into our tabletop position. So if you need to rearrange yourself quickly, go ahead and do so. So stack those joints, hands underneath those shoulders, knees underneath the hips and thighs. Fingers are nice and wide. Remember, we're pressing into that earth. We really want to feel connected to the ground. This whole energy is about being really nice and connected to the ground and feeling the strength that we pull from that area. And then knees are stacked underneath the hips. Keep that head floating. Keep your hips level. Stretch your right foot back and give that foot a nice stretch and all the way up the back of the leg as we normally do. Breathe it in. On the exhale, drop the right knee down to the ground. Other side, hips low back, stay level, left foot presses back, pressing that heel back, stretching out those toes. And then exhale, bring it back. Inhale, right leg re-extends. We'll go into our spinal integration, so we'll float the right leg parallel to the floor, a nice active foot. A little bit more strengthening through the whole abdominal area here as we reach our left arm forward, palm in, thumb up. Right arm is strong. Distribute the weight into the first knuckles of the fingers to take it out of the wrist. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hand and knee come down. Should not be a lot of movement in the rest of the body. Stretch the left foot back. Squeeze the left side, back side to hover it parallel to the floor. Good. And then right arm extends forward, our balance, spinal integration. Breathe it in. And exhale, bring it down. So let's pause for a moment in our first child's pose. Wide knee or knees together. Wide knee gives you a little bit more space to move a little deeper into it. Sink the hips to the heels. Hands can continue to extend forward, even come a little wider than the shoulders. Reaching those index fingers straight forward, and then melting the belly, the heart, and the head to the ground. We do want that head to be grounded. Again, this practice is all about grounding us, reconnecting to the earth, feeling strength and stability from the earth. So if the head doesn't easily touch, either lift your hips up higher so the head can come down, or stack your arms underneath the forehead or use a prop so the head is resting on something that is connected to the ground. And then just let the whole weight of the body sink to the ground here. Let go of any tension and tightness, sink through the hips, let that low back get a nice stretch. So child's pose is often used to help reduce anxiety and stress levels, to improve our quality of sleep. And it's a surrendering pose. We can still feel opening through the chest and heart, but for the most part, we want the weight of the body to just be sinking towards the earth. Let's take one more nice deep breath in this pose. Inhale, we'll float the head and the body back up to tabletop. So we'll need to rearrange ourselves here. So we'll go into a couple more poses for our feet since we're working with this area of our body today. Broken toe pose. Bring the feet a little closer together, tuck the toes under. Now sit your hips back on the heels if it's available. Big stretch for the soles of those feet. Your modification is to be in a kneeling position if that feels a little bit better for you, and place cushion underneath the knees or slide a pillow behind the buttock. While we're stretching our feet, we'll do our release for our wrists or praying mantis pose. So we're reaching towards that earth. Pretend like you're scooping up some dirt and digging in the dirt. And it's a really nice way to activate this area of the body as well. Praying mantis pose, you'll pinch your forefingers to your thumb and really pull your fingers to your forearm to help stretch out the top of the wrist. Exhale, shake the hands back down to the ground. Inhale, scoop up that invisible earth. Pinch it in, pull it up. Exhale, shake it out. One more time. You're sitting back on those heels. You're enjoying that big, intense stretch, I know. Exhale, shake it out. Walk those hands forward, point the toes. Now tap out the tops of the feet a couple times, get the blood flowing back through there. So this next pose is going to be a little bit challenging pose again, Padangustasana. We'll just do our best, see what happens. We're going to tuck our toes back under and sit the hips back on the heels. Now, if you have yoga blocks beside you, bring your yoga blocks underneath your hands. If we don't have blocks tonight, just use your fingertips. The goal here is to try to lift your knees up, walk onto your fingertips, use your props, pull the low belly in, eventually rest hands on knees. So my knees are together, a little bit of space between my feet, Padangustasana, toes stand. Big challenging pose, really activates the feet and the legs. The next challenge is to extend those arms straight forward, parallel to the floor. Good. Now this is the biggest challenge, but look, if you take care of low backs and knees, let me show you what you'll do. You'll drop your fingertips back to the floor and try to straighten your legs up into Uttanasana from here, okay? If you want to try the rise up, arms reach forward, you try to lean against an invisible wall, use the core, and as you inhale, you squeeze your knees and try to lift all the way up onto the tippy toes. Lift and reach, heels are up, extend to the ceiling. On the exhale, drop the heels down, micro bend your knees, hinge from the hips, and we'll all catch up and forward fold here. So that's a big challenging pose. Now that we did it, just let it go. Stretch your legs out in Uttanasana. So we'll prance our legs one at a time, have a little bit of space between our feet, still parallel to each other. Those of you releasing your arms and your head, you may sway your shoulders, the head and neck, or take a hold of your elbows. Those of us that modify will have our hands or our elbows on our thighs. Another pose, a nice way to release the upper half of the body towards the ground, but do keep your feet and legs super strong. On our next inhale, let's find our halfway lift. So you'll bring the hands under the shins, the thighs, pull into the low belly. Pick up your toes, try to fire your quads, the pelvic floor, the low belly. Holding tonight, squeeze in the upper back. Good, keep breathing. Nice straight spines. Now add those locust arms if you want a little bit more. Palms face in, you're squeezing. We'll feel this in the upper back of those upper arm bones. Let's try to take one more deep breath in. On this exhale, we'll sit back into Utkatasana, reaching those arms forward and up, and holding here. Knees tracking towards those toes. Pull the low belly in. Shrug the shoulders from the ear. So we do this one a lot in my class anyway, but this pose is also related to Muladhara Chakra, our balancing poses, stability again, and also feeling the weight through the legs. Modify for shoulders by just bringing your hands to your heart. Inhale, try to squeeze your right foot from the floor, finding some of that balance, strength through the feet and legs. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, left foot lifts from the floor. Little balance strengthening here. Exhale, sink the foot down, try to sink a little further down. Feel the weight of the lower half of the body really sinking into the earth, fierce pose. And then next inhale, we'll re-extend all the way back up, lifting those heels up, reaching up towards the ceiling, stretching out the soles of the feet, strengthening the lower legs and ankles. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale, turn your palms out, float the arms down into Tadasana, and pause for a moment here. So we'll do our little bit of footwork in our Tadasana. We haven't done this one, at least with me, in a while. And again, this is a nice way to really feel connected to our feet, towards the ground underneath us. So from Tadasana, remember no tension in the face, the throat, arms floating slightly away from the body, nice side long bodies here, front body to back body. Unlock those knees so we're not jamming the kneecaps back. They are straight, but they're strong. Now you can keep your gaze forward and just try to use more of your brain, but if it helps, you may drop the head down and look at your feet here. We'll try to lift up all 10 toes. I really want you to lift up those toes and spread them as much as you can. Lower and lift just the big toes a couple times. Try to gain control of those big toes tonight. Lift up all the toes, just the pinky toes. Now lift up all the toes. Really feel the mound of the big toe and inner heel rooted. That's the inner arch lifting. Mound of the pinky toe and outer heel equally rooted, the lateral arch active. And the mound of the big toe to the mound of the pinky toe, our third arch in our foot. The next pose that we do is going to be the pose that strengthens and tones that arch. So try to glue the big toes back down to the ground. Then the pinky toes, and you keep the 3 toes in the middle lifted. And maybe it happens tonight, maybe it doesn't. Take some practice. We'll have a lot of time together to practice. Breathe it in. Float the head up. And exhale, soften for a moment. So we're gonna get into a little bit of lunge work here. So if we need to rearrange ourselves on our mats, do so. Coming back towards the front of our yoga mat, standing in Tadasana, feet parallel. On the inhale, float those arms up overhead. On the exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, steps the right foot back into a long, high lunge. So I'm buoyant on the ball of the right foot. The heel is up. Left knee is directly over the left ankle. Now we did do this one the other day too to stretch out the front of the hip. So if you remember, we actively were working on tucking that tailbone under, pulling the low belly in, and we'll feel it here. But this pose also is really healthy to strengthen all the way down through the legs. So continue to pull front body to back body, relax the head. And it is a little bit of balance. So we're gonna turn this into Virabhadrasana 1 tonight. So on your exhale, you'll rotate your right heel in and down to the ground slightly. But the idea is to try to keep the right hip squaring to the front of your mat. So now the back heel is rooting into the earth. Really powerful. Push that heel through the floor, but continue to try to draw the hips forward. Mindfulness around the right knee. You shouldn't feel any torquing or twisting. Square the shoulders, open the heart. Next inhale, we'll re-extend the arms overhead. From here, if you'd like to bring the palms to touch and interweave the thumbs, you may. Or keep the arms nice and wide so we don't create unnecessary tension in the neck and shoulders. I want you to root the tailbone, sink the legs, the feet equally into the floor. The gaze might turn upwards into our Virabhadrasana 1. One more breath in the pose. Take another deep breath in. And on this exhale, we're going to release the arms behind us and come into Baddha Virabhadrasana, bound or humble warrior. So we'll try to interweave all 10 fingers behind us. If that doesn't happen for you tonight, you may take a hold of opposite elbows. Now I'll be modifying tonight. I don't go very far in this pose because it strains my low back a little too much. So I want you to just move nice and mindfully. We will now round the belly in even more. Start to look towards the instep of the left foot. Press the right heel into the ground. Eventually the head falls towards the ground. The arms extend up overhead into this humble warrior pose. Breathing, stay connected to the core, especially if you've gone further into it. So this will also turn into a little bit of inversion for some of us that have gone further into it. One more breath. Now the inhale will pull us up. So use the strength of your legs and your core. Bring the arms back down to the low back. Inhale, 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 release that grip. Float the arms back up. Float the back heel back up. So we're back into high lunge position. On the exhale, try to step straight forward into Tadasana. Right foot steps forward, arms float down, mountain pose. No unnecessary fidgeting or movement. Keep your focus. Simply observe the effects that that pose just had on the body, the breath, and the brain. And then we immediately let it go. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring hands to hips. Inhale, big step back with the left foot straight back from the hip. We're not on a tightrope here. We are trying to find high lunge first. So this is a little bit more buoyant of a pose, a little bit more challenge for our balance and that stability. Right knee over ankle. Remember from Sunday, if you just do that little tuck under in the pelvis, we can get a pretty strong stretch in the front of that left hip flexor. Continue to pull front body to back body, lower the upper buttock to the ground. Head is lightly floating. From here, inhale, reach those arms up. Pivot the left heel down and in slightly to Virabhadrasana 1. So now the left heel is connecting behind you. Press that heel into the earth. Four corners of both feet should still be rooting into the ground. Don't hyperextend your warrior 1. Keep driving in the lower bandhas, Uddiyana Bandha. Option to bring the palms to touch, cross opposite thumb, extending the upper arm bones slightly back by the ears, or simply let your arms fall a little wider so we don't create unnecessary tension in the neck and shoulders. Breath is smooth and even, in and out through the nose. One more breath in the pose. Inhale, opens the arms back up. Exhale, the arms come all the way back and around behind us. Opposite weave of the fingers or grab a hold of opposite elbows. Continue to round, hollow out that front body. So you're really engaging your abdominal muscles to help support the body as we move into Baddha, Virabhadrasana, Bound Warrior, or Humble Warrior, often called, as we humbly bow the head towards the ground. So you'll look towards the instep of your right foot and the head can eventually drop down towards the foot. If you're going further into this pose, you need to keep your arms actively reaching up towards the ceiling behind you. So don't let your shoulders collapse towards your ears. Keep pressing those knuckles up. Power in both legs, both feet, really strong and active. One more breath. That next inhale pulls us all the way up. Press the ground away from you. That front leg. Release those arms up. Pick that back heel up, back in high lunge. On the exhale, try to step straight forward. Arms float down, right into Tadasana, keeping our focus and concentration. Inhale, arms up. This time, bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So we will move into a balancing pose here. If you want to rearrange yourself in your space again, feel free to do so. We'll practice our Vrikshasana or tree pose today. This tree is associated with trees growing their roots into the earth and creating that stability and strength again in the body. So from here, bring the insides of the feet and legs to touch as close as possible. Stay connected to those lower bandhas, especially Mula Bandha, the root block. Hover the right heel from the floor. From the hip, we point the knee out to the side of the room. Lots of variations, maybe trying a different variation tonight. So if you always pick the foot up to the inner thigh, maybe keep it a little lower down to the ground. If we're always below the knee, you can try to pick it up or just stay where you are. You're activating, compacting the hips, squeezing the back side to open the front side. The left leg is growing roots 6 foot through the ground. Imagine that, all the way through the earth. The more we can stay connected with the ground, the more that we have that stability and strength to let the upper half of the body get light and grow even a little higher. So feel free to add branches tonight, reaching, extending upwards. If you'd like to see how that mudra feels in this pose, again, taking that mudra of survival, clenching the thumbs, and pressing those nice strong fists up and out towards the ceiling. Maybe even a little blink of the eyes here, challenging that stability. Breathe it in. Exhale, bring the palms to touch Anjali Mudra. Point the knee forward, try to float that thigh up, and then extend the foot forward using the strength. Really active foot again. For 3, 2, good job. 1. Bring it down, Samastitihi. No movement, keep the focus. Notice the breath. Left heel up. Knee opens up. Try to find symmetry from this side and your first side. Feel some strength here through the back side, compacting the hips, pulling up through those lower locks in the body, but no tension in the face, the throat. You want to add some branches, lower half of the body. Grounds all the way through the earth. Arms can extend up nice and high towards the ceiling. Experimenting with our mudra tonight, wrapping the fingers across the thumbs and really pressing those knuckles out, nice and strong. Let the arms get strong. Maybe blink the eyes or even close the eyes for a moment to challenge our balance. Breathe it in. Exhale, open the hands, palms touch, hands to heart. Knee points forward, thigh up. Strong foot, actively press that foot forward as if you're pressing it into a wall for 3, 2, 1. Lower the foot and pause. Feel the weight of the feet connected towards the ground. Breathe it in. And on the exhale, release. All right, so we'll make another transition here. The transition that I'm going to guide us today is going to be back down through toe stand, which again can put a lot of pressure on the knees. So if you do not want to slide down into toe stand due to any issues with the knees, you'll simply do your forward fold into Uttanasana and then step back to down dog, and we'll meet you there from Padangusthasana into downward facing dog. So those of us that want to try toe stand again, you'll actually come towards the back of your yoga mat. So the feet are going to be a little wide apart, about hips width, and you'll bend your knees so the knees are coming together. So we are a little knock-kneed here, squeezing them together. That will help protect the knees a little bit more. Really important that you stay connected to the core, drawing the belly in. Arms reach forward, parallel. Heels float up. And I'm trying to slide down invisible wall. Squeeze the knees, pull the belly in. Squeeze the knees, pull the belly in. Good. It's a powerful pose. And then you can try to hold in our balance for a moment. Maybe bring hands to heart for a moment. Strengthening the feet, the legs. And then from here, fingertips come down to the floor. We'll walk forward with our hands, floating the hips up and moving into downward dog, where we'll all catch up here. So again, sink those heels to the ground or take a moment to walk the feet out. Really pressing each heel towards the floor to get a big stretch through the legs and the feet. Hands as broad as the shoulders. Sink into the mounds of the index finger and thumbs, but externally rotate those upper arm bones away from the ears. Round the belly in, drawing belly to thighs, pushing those thighs towards the back wall, unless we want to bend the knees to modify. Next, inhale, floats those heels up nice and high. Again, stretching out the toes and the feet as much as we can. This exhale is going to drop us to our knees, pointing the toes behind us, and one more time trying to sit back on our heels. So I actually showed this pose to Anu the other night as a stretch for our shin bones. So, or the shins. It's not for the bones, but the shins, and the muscles and the tissue across the front of the shins. So again, if this is a challenging pose for you, we're actually going to turn it into a balancing pose. Modify by sitting up on your knees. You'll still get a nice stretch for the tops of the feet. Or those of you not sitting back on the heels and you still want to do a little strengthening tonight, you can actually come and float into your boat pose for several breaths. Now, those of us sitting back here in Vajrasana, Thunderbolt pose, we'll take this a step further. Be kind to the knees. Now, my knees are touching, the feet are close together. From here, using your fingertips or yoga blocks, I'm going to try to pick my knees up and pulling the low belly in. Then my hands come up to my heart. So I'm intensely stretching the tops of my feet, my ankles. You experience shin splints from running or jogging or other activities. Keep squeezing your knees together. I am rounding through my spine a little bit, just trying to help, but I'm staying real connected to my core. So this isn't unconscious, a little purposeful, really tight squeezing through the front body here. Try one more breath in. And then on the exhale, bring the knees down, hands walk forward, tabletop, single leg stretch from here, or toes tuck under. One more time, downward facing dog to stretch it out. And then we'll transition to a seat, so you can sit back on those heels, drop your hips over to either side, and bring your feet forward. So we'll move through a few variations of Janu Shirshasana tonight. Another big stretch for the feet and the legs. Now, I don't necessarily want us to use a strap in the pose tonight. We often do use a strap around the sole of the foot in Janu Shirshasana. I want us actually to try to just use our muscles to get into this pose. But if you have a variation that works for you, by all means, go for it. This is another pose. We're sitting up on a little bit of a lift will help. So your folded towel, a cushion, whatever you might have to give you hips a little bit more mobility. Moving back into Dandasana. So I'm putting some effort here to keep my spine long and tall. I'm starting with my knees bent up. Really active feet, hands resting beside the hips. Also trying to pull the pinky toes towards the calves as much as the big toes. Over time, you might be able to straighten the legs out a little bit more. If you're propped up really high, avoid collapsing the knees. Take support underneath the knees. We'll step the right heel in front of the sit bone. So for this version, we're going to be concentrating on the Mula Bandha Muladhara connection again. So when we let the right knee fall out, the idea is to try to bring the right heel right up into the perineum. So the heel in. Now I'm sitting up a little bit taller, so I'm not going to get that much of a connection, but you can arrange yourself so at least that intention is there. The ball of the foot can move towards the left inner thigh. Now the left toes and knees should be facing directly up towards the ceiling. Sit up tall, and on this exhale, we'll twist slightly to the left. Take your right hand to the outside of the left leg, using it as a little bit of a lever. Rotate through your shoulders towards the left. We're just trying to get a little bit of opening here, so that when we turn to face back towards the left leg, our heart is more in line with the knee and the shin. Inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, depending on our flexibility, I'm going to start to lead with the heart, drawing my nose towards my toes. The hands are just beside us. You're using your muscles to actively flex the quad and pull the toes in. So some of us will be feeling an opening in the right hip, a little stretch there, and then up the back of the left leg. I want you to try to get your pelvis to tip, hinge at the hips as much as you can. And then tonight, Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. You might need to bend the knee quite a bit, but you can continue to hollow out the front body purposefully. Tuck the chin to the chest, throat lock, Jalandhara Bandha, and try to place the forehead on the knee. Try one more breath in the pose. Our next inhale rounds us up. So if you have the chin lock, you can actually keep it and articulate the spine to roll the spine all the way back up to our tall seat. Take a hold of the right knee, and I should have said put props underneath the right knee as well, if that gives you a little bit more stability. Float the right knee up, extend the right foot forward, pause in Dandasana to bring everything back into neutral. Active feet, sit up tall, ears over shoulders. So other side, step the left heel in as close as you can towards that sit bone. For this variation, we'll allow the left knee to drop out, place a prop underneath the knee if needed. And we're trying to draw the heel as close as we can towards the perineum muscles of the pelvic floor. So the sole of the left foot can come to the inner thigh of the right leg. Right leg should be super strong and active. Once I'm in position there, we'll twist slightly to our right. So bring the left hand to the outside of the right leg, look to your right. Breathe it in. On the exhale, now we face forward. This will allow the heart to get a little bit more in line with the right leg. And I want fingertips about shoulder width apart. At first, you're trying to hinge from the hips, leading the chest forward, nose towards the toes, keeping as much length through the front of the spine as possible. Now on this side, I'm real locked up tonight, so I barely go anywhere, but you're going to continue to follow your exhale. Now some of you might eventually bring belly to thigh, heart, and if you get close enough to that knee, even bending the knee up a little bit, engage your throat lock, and then try to ground the forehead onto the kneecap. And that little bit of hollowing out front body and that little bit of rounding the back body will get into the connective tissue along the back line of the body. And that's okay if it's purposeful. Our next inhale will guide us out of the pose. If you have the throat lock, you can keep your chin tucked and round the spine up. If you've stayed more extended, you'll just lift up through the crown of the head. We'll all come back up to sit up nice and tall. Take a hold of your left knee, float the left knee up, extend the left foot forward. Into Dandasana, hands beside the hips, heart lifting, low ribs in, nice strong legs. And for tonight, let's go ahead and scooch off of our prop and move slightly forward. And we'll go right onto our back sphinx. I want us to do a couple other things supine this evening for that part of our body. So walking your hands down, safe way to come down for those low backs. Rolling onto our back when we get there, and then reorganizing our body on the mat tonight. So loosen things up. Remember to adjust the hair if needed so the back of the skull is grounded. Connect the low back to the floor, and let's pull our knees in towards the body here. Give those knees a little hug, give your body a little rock side to side. So Supta Baddha Konasana, we'll open the knees nice and wide. Try to draw the soles of the feet to touch here. So again, we're making this connection in the feet, heels to heel. Maybe it's possible to bring the mound of the big toe, mound of pinky toe together. If not, that's okay. Holding on to the feet, thumbs on the inner arch, hands wrap around the top of the feet. Adjust the shoulder blades under the body here. Now the elbows can help guide the thigh bones away from us as we draw those heels back in and down towards that pubic bone and the pelvic floor again. From here, yogi toe grip. It's the peace sign in the hands. Glue the index finger and middle fingers together. Palms are facing towards each other. Those two fingers slide right between the big toe and second toe. Your ring and pinky toe rest on the top knuckle, and the thumbs wrap on or sit on top of the big toe. And then your toe resists that grip. From here, try to extend your right leg out 45 degrees as you inhale. You might even lean towards your right and let the foot try to come back and touch down to the ground. Exhale, draw the right foot back in. If the yogi toe grip doesn't work, just switch it to a foot or calf or even the outer thigh. Inhale, stretch the left leg out 45 degrees. Option to lean to your left hip and bring the foot to the floor. Exhale, bring it back. Let's do this one more time to each side. So we're doing a single leg, big stretch, inner thigh growing muscles, and for the feet. Exhale. One more time to the left. Exhale. Repeat one more time to each side or try to go into full Supta Konasana. So if you have a grip on those toes are resisting your grip. Don't pull your toes out of the socket. Open the legs up into our V. Sink the shoulders down and the low back down. Try to extend the heels out. Big stretch for both legs. Breathe it in. Supta Paschimottanasana. Try to squeeze the legs together and then draw the legs in towards the body as much as you can. I'm not a great visual example of this pose because I have a lot of tightness. You are trying to keep your low back to the floor here. So you might bend your knees till that happens. Some of you with straight legs might be able to draw those legs closer towards the body. Lying flat on the back. So another big stretch for the whole back of the body and the legs. Breathe it in. Now in this exhale, let go of the feet or the legs and float your legs up into waterfall pose. So now the legs are vertical. Reach your hands behind your thighs, point and flex the feet a couple times. This next exhale, hug your knees into the body. Keep the knees together, the feet parallel. Extend the arms out from the shoulders, palms down. And on the exhale, lower the legs to the right in our spinal twist. Place a prop under the legs if they don't touch. Place your right hand on that top thigh if you want a little bit more. Now sink the left shoulder down to the ground and the head turns to the left. However, if you want to take another version tonight of this twist, you'll extend your left foot forward. Try to take a hold of the lateral edge or the pinky edge of your left foot with your right hand, and then drop the left leg a little closer towards the ground. So left leg is straight, legs are twisting to the right, left shoulder's down, head looks to the left. Those of you that have a hold of the foot in the twist, release the foot, bend the left knee, so knees are together, feet are together. Inhale, floats the head and the knees back up. Now you can bring the legs back up one at a time if that's easier for the body. Realign, scooch around if needed. Other side, glue the knees and the feet to touch. Exhale, lower the knees to the left. Use your props. Left hand on top of right thigh to deepen the twist. Sink the right shoulder down, head turns to the right. If you'd like to take a variation tonight and go a step further, straighten the right leg out. Take a hold of the lateral edge of the right foot, the pinky edge, And you're kicking your right foot into the hand, and that will intensify the twist and the stretch up through that outer hip. But do relax the face, the mouth, the shoulders. Our next inhale, release the foot, bend the knee, stack the knees, and then inhale, float the head and the knees back up to center. Exhale, reaches the arms across the shin bones, floats the nose up to the knees, giving our body a nice big squeeze tonight, loving and appreciating ourselves and our bodies this evening. Take a nice deep breath in. And on our exhale, we're ready to flop the weight of the body to the ground and really feel that connection with the earth below us tonight. So if you like where you are in your space, feel free to stay there. Whether your knees are bent up to help release the low back, knees together. Opening the knees into Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet to touch to feel that connection in the feet again this evening. Or let the legs slide out, wider than the hips, feet flap open, arms roll open, palms up. But do add your pillows, your blankets, your eye coverings, anything else that you might want to bring into your frontal relaxation tonight so that the body does feel supported, so that we feel stability with our body here on the ground tonight. As usual, I'll give us a moment to rearrange, to move into this pose, to organize our body with some symmetry. I'll guide us through a little bit of relaxation. Give us several moments of peace and quiet. And then bring us out this evening with the singing bowl to finish our class together tonight. Find the very back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks with air. Wiggle out the mouth to allow the mouth, tongue, and jaw to release to gravity. Notice all the contact points with your body and the floor and the props below. And try to relax those contact points 10% more. Feel the bones in the body. Let the bones in the body get heavy and sink towards the ground, loosening up all the joints in the body. Notice especially the weight of the legs and the feet this evening. Relaxing all those larger muscles around the hips, the hip sockets and thighs. Relaxing the knees, the shins, the calves. Relax the ankles and the feet. Relax all of the toes and the space between the toes. Soften all little creases and wrinkles on the soles of the feet. We let our breath become easy, quiet, and calm. And if the mind wanders tonight, we can bring in the seed mantra for Muladhara Chakra, which is the mantra LAM. Other mantras associated with this area of the body are I am grounded, I am safe, I am secure. Continue to let the whole body and mind relax as we give ourselves just one more moment to let go, to feel grounded, safe, and secure. Slowly coming back to the breath. And again, just feel the relaxed body, the weight of the body on the ground here for a moment. And very gently start to breathe life back into the body, waking up the big toe, second toe, all of the toes. Waking the fingertips, rocking the head side to side, rolling ankles and wrists. On the inhale, reaching those arms overhead into our long body stretch, reaching as far overhead as we can, drawing the legs a little closer together, flexing those feet one more time, spreading the toes as wide as possible, and creating as much space and symmetry as we can, side to side and front to back. On the exhale, we'll float the arms down, walk our feet in, and hug those knees in to rock out the back. Right arm falls beside the head, rolling all the way onto our right, pausing in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby, resting the head on the arm and the left hand to the floor in front of the heart. Keeping the eyes closed or soft, press them to the ground. Top leg can extend towards the front of the mat to help the body come up. We will revisit any comfortable seated position and finish our practice tonight with just a couple more breaths together this evening. We want to be connected to the sit bones, sit up tall through the crown of the head, and just be mindful of our surroundings as we reach the arms up from beside the body, palms up. Another big breath in. Let's float those arms up towards the ceiling, and let's gather up everything we need for the rest of our evening. Turn those palms back out, float those fingertips all the way back to the floor, exhaling and letting go of all that other junk we don't need this evening. And let's take one more breath together, inhaling, filling ourselves up as we reach those arms up. Bringing the palms to touch and exhaling the hands in front of the heart. Humbly bowing the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and remembering to be grateful to anyone else in our lives that made it possible for us all to connect and practice our yoga together this evening. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So I thank you all, as usual, for all of your support, your patience, and your practice tonight. I hope that felt good for you. If you have any questions or comments for me, feel free to ask. I have more things planned for this part of our body, but we'll just take the time throughout these next weeks to gradually get into everything. I will be here tomorrow night and Thursday night.